Welcome into Caldwell County today. I'm Eric Stafford, and joining me today are a couple of folks from the Guardian Ad Litem Program. We have Miss Jennifer Bowman, and we also have Miss Tanya Matchey, and they are here. They're both supervisors with the Guardian Ad Litem Program, and I'm going to ask the obvious question first. What is Guardian Ad Litem for the folks at home that don't know?
So the Guardian Ad Litem Program is a community program where we recruit and train community members to become advocates for children. Children who are involved in the court system because of allegations of abuse or neglect. The court then appoints our office to be a representative and be their voice in the court proceedings.
Okay, cool. And so there's something you're always looking for something, and that is
volunteers.
Volunteers.
Yes.
And I will say, in my experience, I have two foster kids, and we had a guardian ad litem for them when we were going through custody, and so I had never even heard of it. It was new to me, so it was a whole new thing, and I remember they weren't around. They were around when they needed to be.
When they first are doing their training, it is a big time commitment. It's about 30 hours of training. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And that's so they feel good about not only the processes but understanding what their role will be. We take opportunity in the training to talk about what kinds of situations they may encounter.
Yeah.
Because as we know, families and children who are involved, unfortunately, with, allegations of abuse or neglect come from all different walks of life. And so we want our volunteers to feel very comfortable in their advocacy. Once they do their training, they work directly with a supervisor and the attorney advocate as they're doing their representation in court. So they always have support. We do ask that our volunteers at least have one monthly contact with the child and their placement provider. And that time may vary, but the wonderful thing about GAL is you can work that in your schedule. There's no specific, it needs to be done at this time. It might be afternoons or evenings, even on the weekend. So we have folks who are retired, people who are still working full-time. And so they're able to, adjust their schedules to meet those needs of the kids that they're representing. Now,
our particular case was about 15 years ago, and I just remember, because you have to go to court for so many things when you're got foster kids and you're trying to do reconciliation at some points, and then we ended up adopting. So it was like. But they would call us and say, "Are you free this afternoon?" And then they would come by, and they'd see how the kids were doing, talk to us, and they were just, everybody we had was really nice, and just they're there to advocate for the child, to make sure the child is getting represented in the court system.
Child's best interest.
And that's and they were super nice people anytime we dealt with them, but they would just call and say, "What are you doing this afternoon? You got anything?" Or tomorrow afternoon. It's like, "We're fine, come on over." Yeah. And they were just super nice. And then I remember them being in court with us and saying, wait a minute. If they thought of something, or they were like, they were there for the child. Yes. I mean, we were one party was me and my wife, and then the original parents was one party, and it was like, then they represented the kids and made sure that their best interest was at heart, like Tanya said.
And oftentimes the GAL is the continuous stable person throughout a case. Social workers, there's a lot of turnover with social workers and other people involved in the case, but the GAL is the one constant, the one stable throughout the life of the case.
Yeah, in our particular case, we had judges shifted, and so we had 6 months with one judge and 6 months with another judge, and when it got to the second 6 months with that judge, she was like, "Wait a minute, this has been going on a year," and we're like, "Yeah."
Right. Yeah.
And that's when it kind of a decision was made, but that was kind of funny, but at the time, but you got to really care for kids. You got to want to know what you can do to help kids, and it's a really honorable thing to do. Now, if somebody is interested and wants to volunteer, what do they need to do first?
Well, they can certainly call our office, and our phone number is 828-759-3521. Tanya or I, either one, would be more than happy to talk with folks, answer questions.
Okay.
We also have a website, and it's on the poster that folks can see.
Okay.
It's www.volunteerforgal.org. And there's lots of information there just about the history of the program, what it entails to be a volunteer. We're also always looking for opportunities in the community, church or civic groups that we could come and present at, to really help get our name and information about what we do out in this, to as many people in the community as we can.
Yeah, and if you're newly retired or something, this is a good way to volunteer
Yeah, very
and
much.
help and have something to keep you busy and something very worthwhile to do.
Absolutely, yeah. And we are, if folks are out in the community, April is recognized as not only Child Abuse Prevention Month, but also as Guardian Ad Litem Child Advocate Month.
Okay.
And so we've got several pinwheel gardens. The pinwheel is the what most people look at and think of when you think about recognition of child abuse. And so we'll have several pinwheel gardens out in several communities with yard signs with our information on them out, so if folks are out and see that. And we also have an opportunity to partner with the Department of Social Services. We'll be doing a proclamation presentation at the commissioners meeting this month.
Yeah.
Because we work very closely with them, obviously with the cases that we're involved with. And then we have a great event coming up this Saturday. We have an opportunity to do an appreciation luncheon for our volunteers.
Oh, that's
just a
cool.
way that we can say thank you for all that they do. We are fortunate for Caldwell County. We have 29 volunteers right now. But for those kids who don't have a volunteer, Tanya or I are following those kids, and we know that the children who have a specific volunteer have better representation because they're just able to give that much more time to that
And
situation.
reach permanence faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 91 that are uncovered right now
Oh, wow.
that do not have volunteers that Jennifer and I
Yeah.
Wow.
follow and represent.
Yeah, so we really are appreciative for the volunteers we have, and they are a wonderful asset to pull more volunteers in because they, talk to their friends, people they go to
Yeah.
church with. And I think sometimes folks are a little skittish about, I have to be, go to court, or what if I have to testify or say something? And part of that we talk about and deal with in training, but
Yeah.
we have a fantastic attorney advocate who is does the 99% of the conversation and the presentation in court. So we don't want folks to shy away from the possibility. If there's any interest, we at least want to have a conversation
Absolutely.
about what they may be able to bring to the table. I think most of our volunteers find that as they're going through training and they learn more, that maybe skittishness or fear of court goes away pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it's just you hear about it takes a village to raise a child, and it's like this is one person that's really just thinking about the child's interest and really concentrated on their point of view and what would be more beneficial to them than
Right.
anyone else
Absolutely.
in whatever legal proceedings you have going on. And I just remember them being friendly, great people. Now that was 15 years ago.
And
My
they still
kids
are. They still are.
My kids are old, so yeah, so I'm sure they are. But I think it's a great opportunity for somebody that's recently, may have retired and still wants to do something, still wants to be active, and be able to help a child at the same time. So
Absolutely.
and with that many kids, it's that's amazing. It's wow. 91.
Yeah.
91.
Yeah,
That's
and our
crazy.
goal is to have 100% coverage.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's a statewide goal, and we're always working to try to achieve that. So again, anybody who has an interest or they have an opportunity where we could come present to a church or a civic group to get the information out there, again, they can contact Tanya or I at the office, and we'd be more than happy to answer questions.
All right. And the information's on your screen. If you want to call and you just have some questions, they can steer you in the right direction and let you know a little bit more about guardian ad litem if you feel like you haven't heard enough yet.
Absolutely.
So what's the average person like that comes in to volunteer?
We kind of run the gamut.
We do.
So we have several retirees. We've got folks, again, who are actively still employed. We are fortunate that we have a good working relationship with several of the colleges and universities, so we get interns. While they intern with us, they are go through the training and are sworn in as volunteers, and so several of them have stayed on with us. So we really run the gamut as far as the age range of our volunteers.
Well, now that you brought that up, is there a minimum age limit, or like
18 years old. 18 years old.
Okay, I didn't know if it was 21.
Now, we certainly would. We go through a screening process.
Right. Yeah.
So once they fill out an application, we have them come in, and we call it an interview. It's really a sit-down conversation. It helps us get to know them, kind of find out what their interest is, and what brought them to the Guardian Ad Litem program. And then during their training, we spend a time talking about, are there particular issues that may or may not be, problematic for them to handle?
Yeah.
Or if they're more comfortable with a particular age. Some of our volunteers love the little ones. Some of them want older ones because they want to be able to sit down and have a conversation with kids.
Yeah.
So it's really can be individualized based on the strengths of that particular volunteer.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, ladies, I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us. Is there anything I might have missed or something you guys could think of?
Just as you know, and we've said, we really want to increase our volunteer pool. So anybody who is, has the least bit of, I might want to hear more about that, please just reach out, and we would love to talk with you for.
Any group that we could come and present to, we would more than happy to do that.
Yep.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming by and talking to us about it.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you coming and doing that. So, Guardian Ad Litem Program, one of the other many programs here in Caldwell County that people may not think of, but something you might want to volunteer for. So thank you, ladies, for being here. And I'm Eric Stafford saying, I hope you have a great day.